just proud of our guys coming off of last week. As we go forward, just challenge them to take care of the ball and see what it looks like to put a full game together. Obviously, the defense really helped us out there and creating turnovers on their end, and then there's plenty of different ways to win a game. This is what we've kind of challenged our guys with, of just being efficient, and starts with controlling the ball and taking care of that thing. And our guys have really owned that. So just hoping to continue to stack weeks where we're playing full games together and finding those different ways each week of what's our avenue to a victory.
All right, we'll start off with Cass.
Hey, Brad, how's it going?
Good.
Mike Vrabel sort of teased yesterday that Christian Gonzalez could be back this Sunday. This is obviously his first time playing this year, if that's the case. As you prepare this week, though, do you kind of have to prepare for both situations, that he might be out there, that he might not? And if he is, just what does he kind of bring to the secondary?
Yeah, I think anytime there's a questionable player on the injury report, you just assume they're playing, and then you deal with the others that end up playing in their place. Gonzalez is a great player. He's a great match player. Has great anticipation, does a great job staying in the hip. They run a good amount of man-to-man coverage, which we've seen the last couple weeks, so our guys have gotten good practice at it and good work at it. So Rob does a great job of making DB tapes for all the guys, top to bottom. He leaves no stone left unturned, and definitely our guys got to be aggressive, a lot like when you're going against J.C. Horn, with a longer guy who has the athletic traits to stay in your hip. You got to be aggressive off the line, and everything's got to feel like you're attacking downfield. So guys have gotten good work at that against our own, but then also, anticipating, if he plays, or if it's Carlton Davis and some of the other guys that have played for a while in that league, knowing that they're vets. So we got to attack them off the line of scrimmage.
We'll go with David Newton, followed by Mike Kay.
Hey, Brad, good morning. Hope you're doing well.
Good, thanks.
Wanted to ask you, that it was kind of a funny situation when Bryce came into the media room and somebody asked him if he liked baseball, and that turned to me asking him if he's done anything to work on his sliding. I'm curious, what are your impressions of Bryce's sliding, and what have you done to help him get better?
Sliding for a guy who's aggressive in the way he runs and trying to pick up yards for us, sometimes it doesn't come natural. I think we had a guy in Russell Wilson back in the day, like he wanted to get every yard that you could get. So we just trust him to be smart. Sometimes it might not look natural for him going down, but being smart, you don't need that one extra yard that might get that late hit. So we really want him to protect himself, get all he can. We know his legs have been just as valuable for us as his arm. You see in that first drive, right? We call an action pass. They end up fanning out, and there you go. Bryce is off to the races, extending the play. So Will Harriger laughs. The first play we put in is the second play, when they come in for training camp, and that's when the first play breaks down and Bryce extends it with his feet. That's the second play, and we define different ways they get out of the pocket. We try to structure the receivers to keep getting open for them, but a big piece of that is being smart once you do go past the line of scrimmage and protecting yourself so we can get on to the next play as well.
Have you gone to any extreme, like bringing out a slip and slide or anything to help him up?
No, we haven't broached the our budget for putting in the slip and slide out there, but they do work out it on the side. They talk about it. They kind of get a good chuckle about it. But as long as you don't, I think the worst ones you see is when the quarterback's got the knee brace and you're in the grass. As long as Bryce is keeping clean and he's in the grass, he's not getting anything caught in some of the turf. I think Hubbard had one a couple weeks ago where it gets ugly. Just making sure you're keeping all of available parts that could catch the grass, free from doing that. So as long as he's doing that, he can look as awkward as he wants it. So he's avoiding take the hits.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad. Good morning.
Morning, Mike.
Tommy Tremble's been a guy who's shown flashes throughout his career. You guys went pretty hard after him, I guess, before free agency to re-sign him. I'm just curious, what is his importance to the offense beyond maybe just 12 personnel sets, 13 personnel sets?
Yeah, Tommy, the first thing he does is he's aggressive in the run game. That's why we have a great comfort level with him in the sets you're talking about. We know he's going to go get after the guys with technique and aggression, and then that pays off in the pass game. You see him; he's equally as aggressive as a a ball carrier. We kind of laugh. Sometimes he's hurdling nobody out there a couple times last year. But then you watch him last week, like trying to finish that one, kind of 4-minute third down for us. And he gives a dead leg to a guy going low on him, which a lot of people can't do. There's a lot of skill players that can't accomplish that. But he's aggressive with the ball, whether, he's blocking for the ball carrier or he's catching and running. And he's got great burst as well. So really excited about, when you give him some slide routes and things that kind of couple with the aggressive nature he has in the run game, when these guys want to crash on the end and you could throw him a slide route, off the keeper game, he does great things after the catch. So you trust that you throw him at the line of scrimmage, he's going to go get you more. You go back to Denver last year, right? We had a 4th and 4 or 5, and we threw him a simple little outbreak, and he's bouncing off a body. He's giving everything he can to try to scratch and claw to get that first down. That's kind of who he is in both phases of the game for us.
And then I want to ask you, I know it's already Thursday and you've probably moved on, but you guys married pre-snap motion with a lot of different blocking schemes. I'm curious, did you see something new maybe that you hadn't seen in practice out of that? Or did you find a success that you think can kind of build the identity pre-snap and post-snap?
Yeah, it's funny you ask. Like, one of the biggest things we talk about in the first and second down world is marriage of the run and pass. So you're trying to hide, your core runs. You're trying to hide some of the passes where you can take advantage of bad eyes from defenders. But at the same time, the first couple weeks of the season, we were really preaching urgency to the ball. So there's a real fine line of like putting a bunch of motions and movements on plays, but then also just being able to get a good clear point up front, roar off the ball with aggressiveness, and stay ahead of the sticks and ahead of the clock. So we've been trying to teeter that line of what is it to keep the defense off guard. When Bryce and Tremaine's coming in with a fill block and blocking MDM on the front side, on the fly, and then you bring them in on a fly and you kind of get the nickel to have bad eyes and you hit them in the flat on the first drive last week. Little wrinkles like that will help us. But continuing to push the urgency of the offense is also at a premium. So we don't want every play to live that way. There's going to be some call it and haul it's where you just line up and you know your rules, and we can play aggressive off the ball as well.
Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
Alex Zitlow, followed by Joe Person.
Hey, Brad. I also wanted to ask about Bryce. He didn't have the biggest day numbers-wise against the Falcons. What did you see that maybe the stats didn't show about his day, and how it all went down?
Yeah, it goes right back to there's plenty of different ways to win a game. We're just trying to find the one avenue that makes sense that week. When the defense is playing well, we're playing good ball and protecting the football. I thought he made good choices of getting the ball out. On third down, there's a couple of those we were really close on, right? A couple specifically to T-Mac. We had one screen play, another one where we have a free hitter and he's trying to get the ball out to T-Mac. But he did a good job of protecting the ball and both not putting it in harm's way, but then also just getting it out on time to make sure that the rush wasn't a factor. So while the stats say what they do, and there's some missed shots downfield, which I think kind of attribute to maybe the lack of overall like yardage in the pass game or anything like that. The guy's still extending plays, getting the ball out, and that's really what we keep putting our thumb down on every single week is like staying above the time clock, staying on your feet, and then when the play breaks down, continue to extend because that's a big piece of our offense that's special.
Appreciate that. Of a follow-up or a separate question, Hunter Renfrow dropped in snaps, just looking at the pure snap counts from week 2 to week 3. I think it was 60-something in week 2, and then he had around 20 last week. What was that a product of? Was that just game circumstance, or was there a further explanation?
Yeah, I think, not to be facetious, but everybody dropped in snaps a little bit from the Arizona game.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were throwing the ball around the yard in the Arizona game and rotating all the receivers, all the active receivers and tight ends got a lot of burn, when we got up to the 90 play mark. But last week, I think it attributes to two things, like running the ball. Bryce and Tremaine's had a great role for us, being that third receiver. Hunter still has a ton of value. We had a cool little middle screen to him down there late to kind of couple with some of the run game things we're asking those guys to do. But he's done a good job. He's done a good job, and there's going to be roles for both of them. I think in honor of keeping both those guys fresh, Bryson plays a lot on special teams. We ask Hunter to do a lot in our situational football. When we're out there in 2 minute, when we're out there, in the red zone and the third down, you do see him naturally more. So however the game shakes out, when it's first and second down, we want to make sure those guys' reps are balanced. So we're getting, the full version of themselves in the fourth quarter.
Brad, good morning.
Morning.
We have seen you seemingly giving Chuba a series and then a Rico a series based on and kind of keeping them in there for those entire series. There were a couple Sunday, one in particular where Chuba, it was looked to be Rico's series. Chuba came in, caught a short pass down to the 1, 4th and goal at the 1. Rico comes in for the touchdown. Are there certain plays or looks and different sets that you do prefer one over the other?
I think we touched on it last week of the schemes and stuff that they like. Trying to keep some of that when we know it's hey, this series we're going with Rico, you might highlight some of those things. When you know it's Chuba's series, you might steer towards the things that he wants to get to. But as far as our core runs, especially in situational football, we trust both those guys to execute. And I thought, it paid dividends for us. Rico did a great job of finishing all his runs. There was one where he had a kind of a missed point, and there was an unblocked backer in the hole, and he ends up getting 5 yards for us. He just scratches and claws, just like Chuba does in his own fashion. So, rotating those guys in and out. For situational football, they're both privy to know what we're asking them to do on the goal line and short yardage. Really, the specific sets for them are the type of pony packages when we put them both in the game. And then when we sprinkle Trevor in there, those become specific sets that teams will start to get a beat on. But we love that. We love putting a tendency out there because then we want to complement it with something else. Get those guys that think, hey, we're just doing this one or two things when we put both these backs out there. And then we'll go ahead and combat that as coaches to scheme up something else.
And then Brad, just specific to Chuba, what were your kind of preconceived perceptions of him before you got here, and how have they changed, if they've changed at all?
Yeah, no, I knew he's always going to be the hardest worker in the building. So he was the first guy I met when I walked in here. He was, taking care of his body, and that's the biggest thing for Chuba. That was not a surprise when you meet a guy like that. Okay, he's in here every day in the off season preparing himself for the, callousing up for the season. You see him as the game goes on. That's when that pays off. He stays at a high level. Guys start to wear down up front. Guys start to wear down on defense. He's still finishing his runs. And I thought the game last week, you watch some of those inside cuts where he's finishing and he's running on safeties. That's when his fitness shows up, and that's all his mental approach. The fortitude he had in his mind of like, I'm not going to dip as the game goes. I'm not going to dip as the season goes. That's all a testament to his preparation that really from day one stepping into this building, I got to witness.
We have time for a couple more. Jeff Hawkins.
Morning, Coach.
Morning, Jeff.
Hey, running game got off to a slightly slow start in the first 2 weeks. Blocking seemed to open up some holes against the Falcons. What do you need to see against the new look offensive line against a very tough New England defense against the run?
Yeah, these guys are tough up front, but our O-line, just credit to Goody and Joe, like they cycle these guys in and out throughout all practice, all camp. I know it's, well documented we had a center competition throughout camp, so you're kind of benefited from that when unfortunately Corbs goes down, but Cade's already gotten all these reps. He has synergy with the guys. Chandler Zavala, I think I'm saying that right this week. I screwed it up last week, but he had a chuckle about it. But he's been a heavy for us. Brady's been a heavy for us, so it's not like they're coming off the bench cold. When those guys have to cycle in, they get so many reps during the week. We try to sprinkle them in heavy packages so they're getting the feel of the game as well. And just really their approach You watch them last week, their approach of finishing that game with physicality and a determination to just keep hands on and reset the line of scrimmage. That's going to be huge for us going forward. As we continue to emphasize protecting the football, a big piece of that is continuing to be efficient in the run game, so we're staying ahead of the sticks on third down, and we can get that ball out with good timing. So those guys being physical up front, that sets the tone for us. Rico, Chuba, all the backs, Trevor, all those guys, continuing to grind out those early runs that might not be 20-yarders, might be 4 or 5-yarders. That really becomes the testament of our offense, like protecting the ball, marching this thing forward, bleeding some clock, and then being ready to finish the right way because our guys are in great shape.
Yeah, and just a quick follow-up on the passing game. May's been playing really good the first couple of weeks. Are you anticipating any kind of shootout between the quarterbacks?
I don't know. We'll see. There's plenty of ways to win a game, but we would love to control the clock with a balanced attack. That's kind of, I think, when we're at our best. That game, I think Bryce showed, like, you get into a passing match, he does a great job of finding the open guys. We're stressing our perimeter to say, hey, we're ready for whatever they want to bring to us. But at the same time, we want to hang our hat on being a physical football team, and that includes the run game and getting that going early.